Hey everybody, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. Hope everyone's doing well. And I think most places it's already past midnight, and so no more sleeps before the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world between Alexander Usyk and Britain's Daniel Dubois. Still Friday night here. So one more sleep for this guy, and then it'll be I guess it'll be a little bit of a wait for me, and then early afternoon for me the ring walks. I'm on the West Coast, so I'm in the Los Angeles time zone. I put up a post earlier on with all the different time zones that they expect to see the ring walk take place at. I like the fact that the fights take place in the UK, because of course by about, 3 o'clock in the afternoon or so, maybe 4 o'clock, it'll be all done, bar the commiserations, the celebrations, the recriminations, the pointing of fingers wherever they happen to be pointing. And that's really the purpose of this video. It's a little tongue-in-cheek. But on the other hand, I think, there's something to it. And that's this. If Daniel Dubois should lose, how long do you think it will take for Don Charles to be fired? I think that if Daniel Dubois loses, there's a strong possibility that Don Charles might be fired that very same day. In other words, potentially he might get fired in the ring, kind of thing. He might get canned almost as soon as Usyk's hand is raised as the winner. If, on the other hand, Daniel Dubois should win, do you think that Don Charles will keep his job? You would think that a victory would ensure Don Charles's continued employment, but I'm not sure. I'm fairly certain that if Daniel Dubois should lose, Don Charles's ass is grass. And I say this for a number of reasons. Number one, there appears to be a little bit of headbutting between Stan Dubois and Don Charles. I hear little, snippets here and there. Secondly, did you see at the face-off the other day, Daniel Dubois wanted to, leave, and Don Charles was in his way, and he elbowed him and, pushed him out of the way. And I had to look at it several times. And I'm thinking, I can't actually imagine, for example, Joe Parker saying to Andy Lee, get out of the way. It seemed kind of unbelievable to me. Or if you go back in history, I hadn't seen anything like that before. It wasn't the case of Dan saying, "Oh, excuse me," trying to slide between a couple of guys. It was a full full credit to Don Charles. He didn't really flinch that much. I think I would have probably fallen on my butt if Daniel Dubois had done that to me. But no, it was a clear display of get the fuck out of here. There wasn't any sort of, excuse me, And Don Charles is an older guy. Don Charles is, he's younger than me, but he's but I think he's over 60. So there was none of this deference to a father figure. It was really, it was something, right? And the other thing that has convinced me that Don Charles is for the high jump, especially if Dubois loses, but even if Dubois might win, is the fact that, Don Charles is almost like an afterthought. Who do you credit with your success, Dan? Well, my dad, my dad, my dad, my dad, and then maybe there's some other people mentioned. And somewhere around, 475th is, oh yeah, Don Charles. It's like Don Charles is treated with such almost contempt. And I have to say, honestly, I have zero sympathy for the bitterest man in boxing, who's made a complete prick of himself with respect to this fight build-up. And, costing Daniel Dubois fans. I did a video earlier today asking the question. Look at the comments. Most people are in agreement that Don Charles is actually now hurting the Daniel Dubois brand. And I think that's an important thing, because Stan Dubois has been instrumental in his son's development. And if there's any, daylight between Don Charles and Stan Dubois, well, I would heavily invest in an outcome that said that Stan Dubois is going to win any sort of issue between himself and Don Charles. And I heard from another source, though I have no idea if this is true or not, that Don Charles is a salaried guy. Probably a very generous salary, of course. But he's not a percentage fellow. Which I don't know if that's how regular that is, or commonplace that is, rather. I'll have to do some more research. But I always thought there was a percentage, to be perfectly honest. And when I was told that, Don Charles is a salaried fellow, I was surprised. But like I say, could be wrong. Could be false information. Anyways, I also think that even if he wins, Don Charles might be gone, because the Dubois brand, especially if he's undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't need to be tainted by Don Charles. And the remainder of the Dubois team may feel like they don't actually need Don Charles anymore. I mean, they've got Kieran Farrell, who's very, very capable, competent trainer. Dubois could hire pretty much any trainer in the world, right? I would think so. So really, what does Don Charles bring to the table other than being this Marmite character who's causing controversy? There's a reason. I mean, Derek Chisora fired him is it 5 times? Maybe 6? So anyway, it won't come as a massive shock, I wouldn't think, because it won't be his first rodeo. But my view is that Don Charles is on a very, very, very short career time horizon here. And it may be as quickly as tomorrow afternoon after Daniel Dubois loses. Let me know what you think. Does Don Charles survive if Daniel Dubois loses? Does Don Charles survive if Daniel Dubois wins? I'd be interested to know your thinking on this. Just, opinions, right? None of us know. It's just an opinion. Just, fans kibitzing. Anyway, that's it for me for today, I think, unless there's some other development in the boxing world that I'm unaware of. I will see you all tomorrow, and I hope that it's a clean fight, that there's no VADA issues. I did see somebody make a very funny comment that Usyk should enter the ring wearing a white coat and carrying a little beaker for a pee sample. That could be funny. I'm sure it won't happen. But a clean fight, no rule bending, and no controversy, so that we can all, at the end of the piece, say, well, that was fair and square. So there we go. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Thank you all for having subscribed already. I really appreciate that. And let's have an enjoyable day of boxing tomorrow. Could be a very late night for some people. I was listening to Joe Stunner boxing live earlier on, and Joe's going to pull an all-nighter because, of course, we've got the big card in Vegas at the MGM Grand with the return of Manny Pacquiao. I hope Manny's going to be okay. I mean, win, lose or draw. I mean, I just don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially at that age, right? Anyways, enough from me. Chat with you tomorrow. Bye-bye.